Alright, call Allah Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of Well. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this wherever you are, whatever your life may be. I'm going to leave it on this screen, but this is an in-transit rant. I'm going to figure out a way to add rant into the word in transit, and that might be the title. I don't know. We'll see. Whatever. Title doesn't matter. The message does. So I won't be able to grab scriptures. I'm going to leave it on the screen, and I'm going to paraphrase, do my best. Prayerfully the Spirit takes over, and I can quote more than what I've already got in my head now. I'm going to let this play, and then this brother here, he hit something. he woke something in me with a quote that he said, and how the dumbass Christians say, I got a word. I was listening and I got a word. Yeah, well, I got a word. But he said our people have bad doctrine and bad diet, and that was a bar for me. So I'm gonna let this play, and then we'll get I'll talk a little bit, not too much, since I can't grab scriptures, and that'll be it. So here we go.
Well, praises to Yahweh the Father, Yahweh Shai the Son, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you Akim and Akwath, pushing the truth throughout the four corners of the earth. To every Israelite, like the scripture says, a speckled bird, even to the Israelite foreigners who look like the other nations, I say peace and salutations unto you as well. And I'm going to talk real briefly about, I'm in agreement with what Charleston White is saying about the food.
And real quick, every so often, I love to say, even a broken clock is right twice in a day. Sometimes Charleston be saying something that he makes some sense, especially here and now when he talk about, but it's easy to see Esau Edom. It's so easy. Even 2/3 can see now that Esau Edom is truly the devil. You first wake up and you just kind of regurgitate things like, yeah, he is. The white man is evil. You think about slavery, and then the stuff that the things that we used to hear in school, Emmett Till and Rosa Parks. But then you get into this truth, and you start seeing things, more and more things be revealed. The way that they specifically place things in our neighborhood, that they cut trees down where Jake is, where you need trees. All right, what they do to your food. Okay, what they've done to us, experiments. The medical. There's a book called Medical Apartheid. You should read that if you have not already. The quote unquote medical advancements that they have were all done on our people. Wicked. And then you really, what little we do know, it is enough, man. Let me let this go. All right, we're gonna let this go. Let me get to the point. Stick to it.
In general, but especially the food and the Negro, Latino, and Native American communities, we really truly are getting the leftovers of the leftovers. And as I was just sitting here listening to this video, I was kind of reminiscing about living through this, man, living through, poverty. And actually, I remember, for, case in point, when I was living on the northwest side of Indianapolis, it was kind of a rough neighborhood. I can go on about that place forever, man. It was, like I said, shot up houses, shot up restaurants. Like I said, I'm not even going to get into that. But anyway, we had a Safeway right down the street from us, in walking distance. I would probably say maybe a couple of city blocks. So, like I said, a lot of gang members would go to that particular Safeway, and it was just run down. Like I said, you was kind of at your own risk coming and going in that place. So I'm pretty sure the meat department, man, or anybody who's delivering groceries, they was trying to haul ass up out of there, because you wasn't trying to stay there too long. You might get robbed. So, but with that being said, every time you would go in there, man, the meat department would smell rotten. It would smell like a dead body was in the back, just decaying. in the meat department, and you kind of question me. I mean, what type of meat are we getting? I mean, are we really getting human meat? Because, like I said, man, you go around that meat department any time of the day, and like I said, it smelled like a dead body back there. And when you were living in that type of environment, the chicken looked yellow. You go to other, ethnic groups' neighborhood, predominantly Caucasian people neighborhood, the chicken was white. It looked bleach. It looked healthy. But when you go to that Safeway in the hood, man, it looked yellow, to the point where I thought chicken was supposed to look yellow.
Same. And now I grew up in Texas, and there's a specific, not restaurant, there's a specific grocery store, probably the greatest grocery store in the nation, in my humble opinion, called H-E-B. And now specifically it's in Central and East Texas. There's H-E-B's. And I remember going to the store, going to H-E-B with my grandma as a young, little boy. And I remember the chicken being yellow. I remember, the meat section didn't smell, but I do remember discoloration in the chicken. Now, obviously, my grandma, she wasn't buying that. She was getting cheap pork chops. You can get pork chops damn near 45, 50 cents, in 94, 95, right? You get for the dirt cheap. And H-E-B back then was still sourcing from local farmers. But even still, I think on the Jake side of town, on the so-called black and brown side of town, whatever was going bad, I know that the sick animals were getting put in that store. All right, especially now everybody getting treated like niggas now. But yes, very true. The chicken was yellow. I even thought the same thing. I wondered why the ends, when you saw the whole chicken, when you saw the end of the leg where the joint was, that part was really yellow, and then it got less yellow as you got up towards the breast. I thought chicken was supposed to look like that too.
But it wasn't. It was supposed to have a healthy texture to its flesh. And not only that, coming back and forth from about an hour from Indy, I lived in another town even longer, than that, messing around with Indian stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but man, even as a kid, man, the food that we would eat, man, the garbage, man, because black folks, man, we for the most part were poor. It's just what it was. Heck, we were so poor, we just thought, hell, that was just the way life was. It was supposed to be like that.
Right. I didn't eat well until I joined the military and made my own money. All right, not to say that we were that destitute like that, but I didn't know what healthy eating was until I joined the military, and then truly, I didn't know what real health was until I started to learn about the truth. All right, and when in the dietary laws in the Bible. I'm gonna fast forward this just a little bit. I want him to get to Charleston White's part.
I mean, it was kind of like do or die in a sense. I can't blame my parents. Just eating anything when the Most High gives us you got a bad diet, you're getting bad doctrine.
That's right there. I got it right there. I don't think he's gonna get to it, but you can basically find it on your own. I don't want to make this too long, but as he said, bad diet and bad doctrine. So to hurry and get to the point here, what you put in your body and what you feed your spirit absolutely matters. Now, if you want to eat junk food every now and then, I would not suggest. If you are still eating Burger King, McDonald's in 2025 going on 2026, I don't really think that you're in the truth. You can't possibly. You have to stop eating that. But every now and then we get our folly, right? The Taco Bells or whatever, what have you, some sort of fried chicken. Even if you make it at home on your own, every once in a while, do that. But do your best, right, to get educated on what you're eating, and do your best. The scriptures do say that there is no enchantment against Jacob, but you don't want to, subject yourself too long or too often to low vibrational things, TV shows, music, things that don't feed into you, don't give you a positive image of yourself or don't give you the how should I say, like a I don't know, basically things that aren't that aren't positive. So really the only the only true positive thing is listening to these lessons here, getting in your scriptures, reading, listening, learning. If you preach, you preach. If you teach, you teach. Whatever, what have you. But make sure that the bulk of your day is spent, because we will have our folly, right? Try to make sure the bulk of your day is spent striving to remain in the Spirit. It'll cleanse it will keep your soul cleansed. It will keep your mind right. And speaking of, on a carnal sense, to be able to keep your mind right, you got to get out, you got to exercise. Even if you walk, just get out, walk. Touch grass, as people say. Get the sunlight on your skin. Meditate on how good Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has been to you. And on the flip side, meditate how terrible and the terrible demon-like power that the Lord's title is. He used to be known by as that title. Meditate on that. Meditate knowing that the fear of the Lord will lead you to make the right decisions, will lead you to strengthen your faith. Because if you have faith that the Lord will do good, then you have faith that the Lord will hem your ass up if you ain't, judging yourself. Right? If you're striving to be upright, he that judge himself needs not to be judge of any man. But that means you have to really look, be circumspect, or should I say introspective, look inward, right? And when you open that spiritual sword, that Bible, you turn it on yourself. You have to cut yourself. You cut that unprofitable flesh. You circumcise your own heart. You have to cut all of that, the nonsense, the 2/3 isms, all of that has to come out, or as to the best of your ability. Again, all right, there's balance. You can't be over righteous, all right, but you don't want to be so wicked that that the Lord gives you over to your vile affections. I think, actually, let me let him go on just a little bit more, because he mentioned, I just really wanted to get to the part where he said bad diet and bad doctrine. So let me let him go a little bit more, then that'll be it.
Plus, the Levitical laws, we're not keeping those. So you got 3 strikes against you. And I just, like I said, I don't know if I was the only one, but I just noticed that pattern throughout the years. Every time after the holidays, like I said, here comes the funerals. Here comes the flowers and fried chicken. And I'm going to play some of what Charles White had said.
They poisoning us deliberately. We getting our stores, our Walmarts, our Popeyes, they getting the worst of the feet when they dropping this shit off, unloading these trucks. Them other places, they got the top of the line shit. It's like we getting the hand-me-down clothes. We getting the hand-me-down meats. We getting the hand-me-down fake macaroni noodles that's plastic that look like it's pasta, but it's really
right. All of that. Again, you can look this interview up, but this is by design. Make absolutely no mistake that your enemy, Psalms 83 tells you who they are, and they mention Esau twice. Amalek being the head tribe, so they mention them twice. They want to hone in on that. They want to foot stomp on that, or the scriptures, the Lord wants to foot stomp on that. And it is by design. They know who you are, and they know what you're supposed to be doing, so they purposely curate an environment to have you go off and then point the finger. Look at your people, Lord, the accuser of our brethren. Your environment is curated so that your doctrine is off and your diet is off. The same way in times past, when they wanted to disconnect us from the Lord, they went and they ransacked the temple. They destroyed the temple. But now that the temple is within you, these devils know that, and they want to disconnect you from your power. They want to disconnect you from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, because they knew what it was being under you. And these devils none of these heathens want to go back to that. But it's inevitable. You have to. It is inevitable. You absolutely have to. All right? The scriptures tell you the kingdom shall not be left to another. Scriptures also tell you that a world without end. We will have a world without end. Righteousness will flourish. The air will be clean. The water will be clean. The food will be clean. It will be safe for your children to play outside. You don't have to keep them within earshot. Again, it is by design. They want us disconnected from our power. Since the temple is within, they want to destroy us by manufacturing an environment that keeps us far from the Lord. Even from all the way to the music that is made. Listen to music now. And it's been downhill for a minute, but at least it was, you had a little jig, it had a little groove. Now it's completely stupid. Future, Young Thug, the Migos, the mumble, hibbity bibbity, all of it is horse shit. And you have to be some level of retarded to think that it's anything worth listening to. Now, it's a couple new dudes out there that's spitting, but it ain't that many. So, with that being said, I've gone on long enough since I can't get any scriptures here. But again, these devils didn't know. They did not account for the spirit. All right, the Lord was going to there was always a remnant, and the Lord they had no idea, or maybe they did, I don't know, but the Lord's remnant was not going to fall subject. They would be awakened and be pardoned through the blood of Yahweh, or by the blood of Yahweh Shai, because we would believe on him. So they going to get 2/3 of our people, and they are guilty. We all are guilty. The only difference is, and I say we humbly, the only difference is those of us that have woken up to this truth and understand who we are and whose we are, all right, and being covered by the blood of Yahweh Shai, our sins are pardoned. And it is not by anything that we've done, because we've done nothing to deserve it. We've done nothing good to deserve the mercy that we've been given. So it is a gift, and you ought to treat it like a gift, and you ought to hold it near and dear and never let go. So with that being said, I pray that you are edified.